Everybody online. It is Centerville Community School District. We're going to have a budget hearing and a regular board meeting. We'll start with our district mission that all students will learn well, become lifelong learners, and contribute positively to society. The first thing we're going to have is a public hearing for the FY24 budget. And today is April 10th, 2023, 5:30 p.m. in the Centerville admin offices. So with that, we'll open up our our budget hearing with a roll call, please.
Moore.
Here.
Mike Thomas.
Here.
Bob Thomas.
Here.
Shondell.
Here.
Berger.
Here.
Carter's absent. Wiskus.
Here. Like a motion, a second to approve the budget, or the agenda for the budget hearing, please.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion second to approve the budget hearing agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. The agenda is approved. At this time, presentation of the budget. It's in your packet, but we'll go here and hear from Lisa and Mark.
Well, nothing's changed since the presentation at the last
Okay.
board meeting. So, tax rate was published and it's proposed at 16.98534, which is a decrease of 0.13086 from last year's rate of 17.11621.
And slightly beats the estimates shared with the public when the bonds were taken out. It's slightly lower than the estimates.
Any questions from the board on the budget? Okay, hearing no questions from the board, we'll now open up comments from interested visitors. I don't see that we have any other than our staff that's here. Okay, there's no.
This is Matt, can you hear me? Sorry.
That's right. All right, so hearing no comments from the public, and there's no board discussion on the, I'll give one last chance for board discussion. Any? Well, with that, we can, since there's nobody here from the public to comment on the budget, we can adjourn the public hearing.
So move. Second.
A motion second to close the public hearing on the budget. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, that means closed. We'll go to our regular board meeting and we'll open that with a roll call, please.
Moore.
Here.
Mike Thomas.
Here.
Bob Thomas.
Here.
Shondell.
Here.
Berger.
Here.
Carter's absent. And Wiskus.
Here. All right, public forum. I did not have my statement with me. It's out in my vehicle to read for the public hearing, but I don't see that there's, otherwise I'd read my formal public hearing about the board policy. But I don't see that there's anybody here for the public to make a comment. So with that, we'll move into approving the agenda, please.
Make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Motion second to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Same sign. Agenda is approved. Okay, approve the meeting minutes for the two previous meetings, which are March 13th and March 27th. I did look at March 27th. It took us about 45 minutes to walk through the building, so I thought we did that pretty efficiently. So that's my only comment on the meeting minutes. They're a little faster than I thought we'd do it.
I could slow down next time.
We're probably going to have to in the next one.
Maybe.
Any comments on the meeting minutes?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion is second to approve the meeting minutes for the previous two meetings. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Seems like there's no old business. We'll move on to new business. And with that, Mr. Gillespie is joining us live via satellite or whatever he's doing it. Okay. Please monitor speeding there, Mr. Police Officer. All right, timeline discussion for the 2023 school infrastructure, sales, services, and use tax revenue bonds. There is a timeline in your package. We'll bring Matt on.
We should advise him that we have a police officer.
Can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yep.
Don't hit reverse on your phone for your speedometer. We have a police officer in the crowd.
Yeah, I will try not to do that. And I apologize, I left Des Moines on my way to Underwood Schools without bringing my paperwork for this meeting, so I can't quote anything to you guys, but I can definitely answer questions if you have questions. Maybe Lisa can, kind of review the big picture, and then if you have questions, I can definitely answer those questions.
Well, I guess I can do a little bit of review. If you see, this is the page in the bond packet that we're talking about. If we go ahead tonight, we do not have Allers and Cooney's letter. So we do have, the engagement letter for Piper Sandler. But if we are approved to go forward, can we approve to go forward without an Allers and Cooney letter?
Yeah, they will just provide theirs at some future meeting, so that's not a problem.
Okay, where if we approve tonight, then in a week, Piper Sandler and Mac can offer the terms to prospective bidders, and these are bank qualified?
That's correct, yep.
Okay. And then the bidding deadline would be May 8th, which is our next regularly scheduled board meeting. And so we would have those bids back, and we could basically approve the sale of the bonds at that meeting, and then there's a couple little follow-ups that we have to do, and we'd have the money by June 8th. So do you have any comments on the timing of doing this and your crystal ball and interest rates?
Well, I would point out a couple things. One, that if for some reason at that May date, the proposals that we receive are not desirable, the board does not have to accept something. You can reject them. And if that were to happen, then we could always move forward in the conventional sale process, which is what you did the last 2 years or so with the general obligation bonds, for example. This process that we're proposing that you move through now just eliminates lots of the document preparation, the bond rating. It would hopefully eliminate the need to set aside another reserve fund, so that means there's more money to spend instead of setting it aside in a kind of lockbox. And some of the costs are lower as well. But it doesn't always bring the best rates. So that is always going to be an option. So I want to make sure the board understands that they're not locked into anything, that you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. So in May, if something isn't desirable, no big deal. We just pivot and go another direction. As far as interest rates, it does take a crystal ball, which none of us have. Those rates have been fairly consistent over the last maybe month or so for bonds, but obviously they're much higher than you would have seen when you issued bonds, for example, 2 years ago. Those bond rates at that time were pretty much near all-time record lows, and we're not there now. So that's not a surprise to anybody. You won't be seeing interest rates that are down in the 1% and 2% range. That's just not going to happen. Would they be lower later? That's what the crystal ball really is all about. And I don't think any of us know that. There are things that can happen in the economy that would drive those interest rates down, but there are just as many things that could continue happening that would keep them elevated or even higher than where they are. So it is literally a crapshoot, a gut choice that the board is making to move, this relatively quickly. And I don't know that it's maybe quickly because you didn't know perhaps that we were going to do something in May, but it certainly is not moving quickly. And that this is a project that you've had ongoing now for 2 years, so it certainly is not a surprise. The bond proceeds would just be finishing up the funding for the large capital project that you already have underway. So, could you decide not to move forward today? Yes. Could we do this later this fall? Yes. Could interest rates be higher or lower? Yes. That sounds like a cop-out, but those are all definitely things that the board could choose to do. Certainly getting it done sooner, if it can get done in May, locking it in, you know what the absolute result is, so there's no more guessing games. That's something an advantage. I would say if it does get done in May, probably just don't look back. You don't look back 9 months later and say, should we have done it then? Because you're going to find out maybe you should have and maybe you shouldn't have, but it doesn't matter because you already took action.
Okay.
So I'll stop talking and see if there's any other questions.
So it looks like you're proposing 13 years on this to fit into the cash flow?
Yeah, that is one thing to note, that you could go out as far as, well, you can technically go out about 28 years. You can go all the way to 2051 if you really wanted to, but very, very few banks engagement like you guys have, there are fewer bidders that are out of that range too. So keeping it down in that kind of 13, anywhere from really about 8 to 13 years, seems to still be drawing bids and, and acceptable bids. So that's why, that's the specific reason why we're suggesting to keep it in that time frame and not push it out longer. Pushing it out longer would probably not, obviously would get higher interest rates, but also might not get bids. And cost you more money because you're paying interest for a longer period of time as well.
Okay. Would these be callable in however many years if something came
Yeah.
different in
Yeah,
interest rates?
that will actually be part of the bidding process when we go this route. So the banks or banks that bid, give us a proposal, they'll be not only suggesting the interest rate, but they will also suggest the call date. Will probably happen, although we never know on any given day who's going to bid. But there are a couple bidders that seem to have been pretty much a player in all of these transactions in the last couple months at least. And they will probably give us 2 different proposals from each bank. One would be not callable, so you couldn't pay it off at for interest rate. And then they'll give us another proposal that might be callable in 4 years or 6 years or something like that. And then that will be with a slightly higher interest rate. And we'll do, some analysis to determine which one would be costing you more money, which is not always the answer. The cheapest is not always the answer, because the cheapest would almost certainly be the non-callable bonds. But you may not want to accept the non-callable rate or the terms. You now have several issues of debt outstanding. So one nice thing about it, if you consider having lots of different debt outstanding is that there are different call dates on those various bonds. So it's possible that a non-callable proposal might actually be acceptable to you in order to get a lower interest rate. Because if you really had extra money just sitting around and you didn't have anything to do with it, and you thought you'd go out and pay off your debt, you could choose to pay off one of the other bond issues. For those, at the time probably have accumulated any surplus, those other issues will have become callable. But the call date will be one of the things that they're bidding.
Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. What other questions everybody have? I'm not hearing any other questions.
Okay, well, if you do come up with some questions throughout the evening or the next week or month, pass those along to Lisa. She can typically find me just about anywhere I am around the state. We'll answer those questions, and if we haven't heard anything else, in the next few days, we will start to distribute that packet to various institutions, and we'll be talking to you guys again there in May, and we'll hopefully have some good news.
All right. I think fortunately or unfortunately, we have a lot of experience doing this now, so.
That is true. You are experts. I would not dispute that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Drive safe.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Yep. Yeah, we've done a lot of bonds. I was talking with somebody a couple of weeks ago, they said there's some boards that some people will be on a board for 10 years and never issue a bond. And we've done, seems like 1 year at least. So, all right, so anybody have any questions or concerns or anything on any of this? Okay. So, moving on from kind of the timeline for discussion, going to number B would be to approve the engagement letter with Partner Chamber, which is in one on the table. This is the standard, as far as I can tell, this is the standard template we've done for all the bonds. So if, without objections, there would be a motion second to approve the engagement letter.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion second to approve the engagement letter with Piper Sandler. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. I don't know if I need to sign that or what for you, but we'll do that further later. As far as the engagement letter from Alex Coon, we don't have that yet. So we're gonna put that, it will go towards, old business.
Do we need a motion to table that then? Okay, however you want to.
I'm just gonna say we're tabled, so we don't have it. Can't take action on something we don't got. That's my, that ruling from the chair. How's that? I don't think I've used that phrase yet, ruling from the chair.
Yeah, please, hit the gavel.
All right, item D. I'm gonna bring a gavel.
Make it a small. A little back.
Approve Howard Phase 2 change orders 1 and 2.
Motion to approve. Phase 2 change orders.
Second.
All right, motion and a second to approve the change orders. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. All right, the next one, though it doesn't say in your packet, this next one, when we get to it, will be a roll call vote, is to the resolution to tentatively approve the plan specifications, form of contract, and estimation of total cost for the Centerville Community School District Howard Roof Replacement Project, and setting the date, time, and location for a hearing thereon, approving the final authorization of the posting of a notice seeking competitive bids on said Howard Roof project. I just really want to read all that. So, Rachel, you on? You want to talk about this?
Yes, I can talk about it. Yep.
I guess that's what you're here for, right?
Whatever you guys need me for, I'm here for. So yes, I can talk about this for sure. So re-roof at Howard for the gym. It is currently an old ballasted roof, gravel roof system. We were going to remove that. Several leaks are still present in that roof. It's seen its life. It needs to be replaced. So we are going to replace all of the insulation at the roof and also the membrane on top of the roof and the gravel on top of the roof, and do a single adhered EPDM roof to replace that one with, which is what we've been doing standard throughout your district when we've done re-roof replacements, but also the high school edition as well.
Is the insulation, do we need to add more? Is the insulation wet, or what do we know?
So the insulation is, we do have to add additional insulation and re-taper the roof.
Okay.
So it doesn't meet the current energy code for the insulation. So we have to add additional and remove some of that also needs to be removed as well. So.
So do we have a time for this? It says we have to set a time.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it in the resolution here?
Yeah, let me bring the resolution.
On the 8th day of May.
Does it say 6:30? I need to add that to 5:30, obviously. Was that the resolution or her?
Notice of public hearing.
More than that.
That page.
Page 73.
Well, that's 63. All right.
So with an amendment to 5:30 rather than 6:30.
Yeah, well, I didn't catch that before, that's 6:30.
I think the resolution is correct.
So May 8th will be our next regular scheduled board.
So
Next regular board meeting, not work session,
that would be, you said May what?
May 8th.
Motion to approve and setting the date of May at 5:30 p.m.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to, I want to make sure I say this right. Motion and a second to approve the resolution as amended to 5:30 p.m. on May 8th for the Howard roof project. And this is a roll call vote. We have a motion second for that, so roll call vote, please.
Moore.
Yes.
Mike Thomas.
Yes.
Bob Thomas.
Yes.
Shonda.
Yes.
Berger.
Yes.
Yes.
Here, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
All right, that's approved. Rich, as long as we got you on the line, what can you tell us about the high school? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, they're
Any
moving
two or three
along
minutes
really
or-
well.
Whatever you want to get excited about?
Yeah, they're moving along. I think they're making great progress. It's steel, they have steel erected over in the classroom wing, so that we call that Unit B on this project. So that's really exciting, starting to shape the building. They are continuing to work on the concrete block walls and masonry walls over in the admin area, which is more on the north side of the addition. And they're going to work their way kind of around the north side over to the east side. And then they're supposed to have, they should be setting actually precast here this week, I think was their timeline for that. So I think in the next couple days, hopefully.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Okay,
There you go. Tomorrow.
Everything's put over there.
yep. Okay. Anybody got any questions for her?
I do. Rochelle, we had, I think Mark had asked you about a small section of wall there, to kind of close in that area where the greenhouse exists. And I think maybe, if you got involved a little bit more than I had anticipated. If we just had a wall there with, like a set of double doors with panic hardware, just to sort of screen that area off for a sort of a safety, security reason, is that possible?
So you're talking relating to the that art room exit that I was referring to on that one.
Yes.
So you could, if that was a main common path of travel, that would be allowed. Yes.
Okay. Could you kind of give us, but the numbers you gave us, was that kind of what that would be, or?
So I guess, if we were to look at trying to fill that gap or that kind of, area in, that was some of the thoughts of moving it over closer to the tech wing there, and kind of taking a corner of that tech wing so that we could maintain that art room egress out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just want to, either way, we have to have a firewall because we're adding enclosed space to that area. So either way, we would have to have a wall, an additional CMU wall against the existing wall to separate those for fire, because we can't add anything to your current building because it's not sprinkled and it's already technically over the allowable area for today's code. Obviously it's grandfathered in, so it's not like it's a violation or anything like that at all. But if we were to add to it, or if we were to enclose that space, we'd have to extend that firewall all the way around. So we have to add a foundation all the way around the existing building. And then we have to obviously add a foundation for an additional wall there on the south side. And we also would have to make sure if it is heated or cooled, it would have to be insulated as well appropriately for the current energy code too.
Yeah, all I wanted was a wall there for security purposes. And where would this firewall go again? I didn't follow that.
So if it was an enclosed space, it would run right next to, basically 2 inches from your existing wall there. That's what we currently have, how we set up the addition as well. That it would, if there was a fire, that wall would stay standing on either side of the new and the existing. Now, if you didn't want to enclose that space, like let's just say you want to just put a wall up so you could, you know, you couldn't see into that space, right?
Yes.
That's no longer enclosed. You could put just a wall up, but we would have to have the correct egress hardware or, yeah, the panics, like you said, out of that exit, out of that area for that
Sure.
art room.
If
But that number that I gave you would be much lower than what I gave you. I gave you for an enclosed,
yes,
heated and
Yes.
cooled structure.
yeah, that, I don't think that's in the budget at all, but I think just a wall that would, you know, prevent people from going back there, and of course, an egress
Basically,
with.
you're talking about a 10-foot high concrete block gate/wall,
With a brick veneer to match the rest of the building.
and then everything inside would just be open.
Just everything inside is.
I see, yeah, it's a little different than what I was thinking at first.
Yeah. Do you follow that, Rochelle?
Yeah, I do. And I think you could do that. Another option that we've done for that is like a nice fence that would be opaque, that would have an egress hardware on the fence to exit out of there. That's another option too.
Okay. Sure.
We've done that in the past as well.
Could we look at those two options?
Yeah, we can,
Okay.
I can have the contractor price out a couple of different options if you want me to.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anything else?
And what'd you say, Eric? I didn't know they made public bar hardware for gates.
Well, I think it'd be a regular door and a wall, and basically it would just be, you kind of pretend you're in Arizona, you just got a block wall with a door there.
She was talking about actually doing a fence. You could do a
Right.
An
fence.
opaque fence, but
Yeah.
you'd have to have some, you're right, you'd have to have that.
Oh, for a fence.
The back side where the greenhouse is,
Okay, but from where to where?
to the corner of the new building, to the, like, where the tech area is there.
If you drive back there, you'll see that opening.
Yeah, you have to drive all the way back
Yeah.
down there to see it.
I'm familiar with it, just going off of the, like the metals wall.
Right now.
Let me, I'm gonna prove that I never took art class.
Oh, boy.
Here we go. So you've got wood and metal that kind of comes over, and there's a door there where the ag room is.
Yep.
Right. And so this goes over how the part goes over. Our new building is something like this.
Yep.
Whatever shape that is. What he's talking about, so there's the greenhouse right in here. What he's talking about is doing something like that. So that people don't kind of go in and get in that hiding hole. So this is not similar to exactly, shape. I want that disclaimer out there.
Yeah, that's a horror drop, no.
Because right now, there's a fence. There's a fence that's right down there for the construction.
All right.
Because I think there's an overhead door here, and so the idea is, because if we just close that off, then we don't have people getting in, going around and hiding all that kind of stuff back there.
Okay, I'll be devil's advocate on this. If you're just doing a straight wall to the door, okay, it's gonna be a lot harder to detect someone messing around in that little area with just a wall and a door.
You mean if they like climbed over it? Yeah.
That's true. And then we did talk about putting a security camera back there.
So if a wall was in there and this is all enclosed, is, I think what you came back with was $250,000 to $400,000 initial estimate.
How many ways are there to get in there right now?
Well, right, when
Other
it's
than
done,
that- Other than that,
so when the building is done, that's what it's gonna be.
There'd be an entrance from the art room, be an entrance from that room through the greenhouse, and then that wall.
Okay.
So my question would be to make it, I guess, for safety and security reasons, I guess looking at it from my aspect is not having a wall, the outside of those current doors, make it where there is no handle on the outside.
Well, it's just like any other door on any other side of the building.
Yeah, so just make it so you can't open those doors from the outside.
That's right, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah,
You can
so
put
that it just changes hardware.
No
Yeah.
key from the outside of it.
Yeah.
The only one that would make it difficult would be the greenhouse.
Well,
That's
I mean,
true.
they,
Yeah.
they're in there during school though,
Yeah.
time, so,
The other two you did.
yeah. I just, from a standpoint of being able to see if someone did get in that area, that wall would make it very, very difficult to see if someone did.
From the outside, with that small opening, it's real difficult to see anybody in there anyway. You almost have to walk in there to see around every corner and beyond the other side of the greenhouse.
It's, my only other thought to deter people in there is just like that area up like a Christmas tree. But you can pry lights.
But
every
2
single
foot lights
corner,
right there.
there's a security light on that thing.
So I'm gonna go ahead and make the statement. I see the desire and the reasons why to do this. We delayed this project to cut $800,000 off of because it escalated. And now we're talking, and part of that, what we did is we did not fully equip our kitchen. And so to add this kind of money in there, the question I'm gonna say is, where's it coming from?
How much money do you think it'll be?
Well, if you want to do it right and close it all, it's between, that came out in Mark's, one of his Sunday.
I think you're kind of saying not to do a roof. and
Okay,
everything now.
Yeah, we're not
It's-
just.
Okay.
No, we're not gonna do it, I mean,
I want to make sure.
I don't know, she said she'll get it priced out, so we'll have to see.
I got a price on it, but not from her.
Well, we have to do the contractor's price, because we have to do it that way.
Yeah, of course. Now, the other thing is, I suggested that because we're gonna have it enclosed, no one's gonna see it, why don't we ask the contractor to not put the brick veneer on those walls inside?
You're gonna have to seal,
Yeah, that's just a spray paint
yeah.
versus labor to labor bricks.
Yeah, we probably did not talk
Yeah,
about this.
yeah.
in here.
Okay,
Yeah,
we probably need to put this as another agenda item.
yeah,
Because-
that's true, that's true. I was just questioning.
Yeah, I just, as long as she was on it, that we had, we just asked the questions, but I think we're getting way out.
Yeah, we'll get some more out.
I'll put it as an old line.
All right, let's do that. Okay. Thank you. Oh. Okay. All right, I think we probably overextended our time on that one, so. Okay. So we did do the roll call on the power, right? Okay. All right, so Rochelle, that's all we got, I guess. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
Okay. Thank you. Item F, thank you for bringing us back on track. Item F approves to certify the school year 2023-2024 budget with a roll call, please. We do need a motion and a second to do that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve the school year 23-24 budget with a roll call, please.
Moore,
Yes.
Mike Thomas.
Yes.
Bob Thomas.
Yes.
Connell.
Yes.
Berger.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes. Okay, thank you. The budget is approved for next year. Now, I had to make this little note here, that is an action that we're taking for next school year. Now what we need to do in item G is actually do something on this school year. That's a budget amendment to approve and to set the public hearing date for May 8th at 5:30 PM. And I'll let Lisa, just if you want to give a little 2 cents on what this is about.
I just have two of the categories that I want to amend the budget. Instructions, we had some more ESSER expenditures this year instead of next year. I know it's a small amount, the early notification payment that we approved. And at the end of this year, we're required to pay out our TSS, teacher salary supplement balance, so, that's in there as well. And then total support services, we have the three traverses that we purchased, and, at the end of last year, we were doing a little moving around and changing of staff, so that changed within the categories and ESSER expenditures.
So if I understand the need, the board needs to act to amend the budget for things that we basically acted on throughout the school year in order to have a budget set when the auditors come through, so that we're in compliance with the audit.
And it does not change the tax rates.
Doesn't change tax rate, it just changes the, basically, compliance for the audit.
So this item is just a set for public hearing, because we have
You have to have a public hearing to do that, to amend the budget.
Motion to approve the 2023 budget amendment and public hearing. Second.
Motion is second to set the, to amend the 2022-2023 budget, set the public hearing for May at 5:30 PM. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you. All right, updated transportation lease agreement. Did we get anything from Ellers and Cooney in this
We
one?
did.
Okay.
Jim Wainwright was our acting attorney in this question, and he reviewed the previous lease and the lease that we were given the other day for the new bus coming in. The difference is about $4,000 in interest, and the original lease that we approved has language that provides for them to be able to do that. So basically, you said you would spend more money on legal fees to
Right.
try to fight that, so.
Because the supply chain is so delayed, the cost has gone up. That's basically what we're proving is a $4,000 price increase on the buses due to supply chain delays.
So are they, yes, are they guaranteeing the delivery date by that date then? We're gonna pay more with their new lease and everything, and they've already delayed it and delayed and delayed. And now they have a new, by the 20, well, actually, that was the 25th, wasn't it, last month?
From what I understand,
But
it's
this is
ready.
the bus that's already getting,
Yeah,
letters put on it and everything.
yeah, it's already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our understanding, the buses are in hand.
Okay.
They were actually waiting for us. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we thought we would look into it at least, because it concerned us that it was a different amount. Well,
Just the principle of it, I wanted to make sure to look into that.
The lease language gave them the right to do that.
We'll vote. Second.
Motion second to approve the updated transportation leases. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Okay, the next one has to do with our, this is a very procedural meeting so far. This has to do with the Iowa local government risk pool for our next year's contract, our risk, what do you call it, risk policy we're buying for our gas costs. And if you look in there, there's, where's that? The extended notes of the agenda has some notes in there that says basically we are, the rates are gonna be a little bit less next year.
don't hear that in a lot of places.
No.
Right now.
And we did pass the certified annual report and the audit. I know there was a question about that last year, so we didn't get any guidance that told us that we did anything that we should have done, so.
Seems like
that's
the
right.
last couple of years, they've started to kind of slow down even talking about there being any concerns about this.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything, so.
Even Larry Sickle used to be more cautious about it and said, you know, maybe they'll come out and say they don't like this. We didn't, I didn't really said that this year.
And I'm not saying they won't, I'm just saying the first certified annual report that we had and the audit since then, they didn't say anything.
Just pretty quiet.
Yeah,
Because what was, when we talked about this recently, we could take it out with different.
the
Management
management
fund.
plan.
Yeah. And I think that was one of your concerns about the audit and
Yeah,
past audit, so.
we passed. Motion approved, participation in the local government risk group.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve participation in the government risk, Iowa local government risk pool for natural gas for the next school year. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion is approved. Item J, approve the 2023-2024 teacher leader positions. Mark?
So we, I think in some of my emails I've shared, some of the legislation that's changed the ways that schools can interact with TLC funds. We made the decision in working with CEA leadership that it kind of puts both groups at risk until we know from the DE what guidance they're going to give us on what we can do. So we have put in what we call our calling a pause year to leave everybody on the roles that they were in this year for next year. Many of our lead teachers, that's a $4,500 stipend there and 6 extended days, were up for, they need to re-interview this year according to our original plan. So we worked with them to agree to not make them interview for what may be only a 1-year deal and put all those people through that time. The DE was supposed to release guidance about a month and a half ago. They said, we'll get it to you by the end of the week, and then people called them and they said, we'll get it to you in the next couple weeks. And the current answer is, it is sitting on the DE director's desk, waiting to be reviewed and considered. So we probably won't get guidance until August or September, I would guess. But that'll give us plenty of time next year to review the guidance that we get and make a decision that allows us to move forward with those funds and do what we need to do for our teachers and follow the new laws. So this buys us time. So this group is the same people that were in these roles this year. There are a few who asked not to continue, so they are removed. We'll review our percentages according to our plan. There may be a couple that we need to add additionally individually to reach the percentage of teachers that should be involved in teacher leadership for our plan. I plan to do that later this week and then get with our TLC committee and do any interviewing that we might need to do for additional spots, since those people didn't previously serve.
So you need more people at the high school?
I think that's probably where I'm thinking we'll probably need it, yeah. My guess, preliminarily looking at percentages, is probably another 2 people at the high school, possibly 1 at the junior high. But we'll review the percentages in the plan and make sure that we get it exactly right for the next year and go from there.
I will be abstaining.
Okay.
Motion approved, 23-24 teacher leadership position.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 23-24 teacher leadership positions. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? 1 abstention. Okay. For the student teaching agreement with Graceland University, that's in your board packet. We've done a couple of these already, so if there's any questions on that one.
If this is just another one of those, they can place student teachers with us if one would come up that could be in our area, so.
Second.
Motion second to approve the student teaching agreement with Graceland University. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? And that motion is approved. Business personnel, our personnel business procedures, there's 3 contracts in there for some teachers.
Could you talk about the McKinley Lane one, how that's?
Absolutely, yeah. So that's a 1-year contract, non-renewing because we're paying for it with ESSER learning loss money. So it's money that we only have through the end of next year. We moved a person out of a special education spot into a 1st grade spot earlier in the spring. That person was funded through ESSER learning loss. It's money that we have to spend by the end of next year. So that'll cover this person's salary for the year, and obviously we'll look for positions for which he'd be qualified, and try to work to keep our teachers and not pink slip anybody if we can at the end of the year. But he was very aware, going into it, that it was a non-renewing position. McKinley is getting his teaching degree through a RAPPL program with the University of Iowa. So he, in order to get his license, actually, he has to teach for a year at least 50% of the time in math or Spanish. Ironically, he's going to teach 100% of the time, 50% math, 50% Spanish on this contract. And then he'll be eligible for a standard license at that point. He's going through, Iowa is one of 2 programs in the state. I can't remember who the other one is. I don't think it's Iowa State that does RAPPL, and then you can get an intern license. So he actually did not have to student teach to get his intern license. As you know, though, he's been serving as our long-term sub for some of our biology classes in high school and done an awesome job. At risk of sounding evaluative in the meeting, but.
So how's this going to, it's 6-12 Spanish, so what's gonna be the breakup, and is it gonna be an actual classroom, or is it gonna be more mentoring, or what?
So half of the day he'll be at Howard. We're going to do a Spanish special there for a couple grades. And then the other half will be at the high school. His planning will be at the high school. I talked to Brad a little bit today. One thing they're looking at is our Spanish 3-4 class right now is combined. So Spanish 3 meets, I want to say it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and 4, Tuesday, Thursday. So they're actually going to split it so that both classes will meet every day. McKinley will teach one of them, and Megan Boss will teach the other. And then he'll do a couple periods of one of the advanced mathematics classes.
Thank you.
Pretty exciting to expand things for kids. I think the risk in this obviously is that at the end of the year, we're gonna say, gosh, that Spanish exploratory thing was pretty awesome at the middle school, because there are a lot of schools that have that, and we may have to look at what we can do at some point. That's the risk with this one.
Okay, now why is the social worker salary set and the other 2 aren't?
Social worker is professional services and not a certified staff member. So it'd be more akin to like our student advisor positions than to a teacher position.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve personnel business procedures in item L. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, financial reports. You pay your bills, so no questions you got on those. There's a couple extras on the table, a couple extra pages.
The extras on the table have 2 to buy state. I just don't want it to look strange. We did not get to sell last month. So
Okay.
this is last month and this month.
Oh, so they've been, we had free use of their money.
Yeah.
We get nothing off of it. So.
And we didn't miss it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's gonna take your cash balance down quite a bit. Okay, your cash balance down quite a bit.
Yeah.
Any questions on the financials and bills? Would anybody like to make a motion to pay our bills?
Second.
No motion second to accept the financial report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, Bart.
Okay, did a lot of work late last week and today to prepare questions for our interviews on Thursday for the assistant principal / AD at CHS. I'm super excited about it. Brad and I worked together to build a couple interview committees that I think are going to get pretty good. We've got a couple parents, we've got some coaches, we've got some teachers on a combined interview group, and then we've got, the admin team and another interview group. We kind of, stole how Trent Brennemeyer runs some of his things and kind of copied that a little bit. Really fantastic questions. Was happy. I reached out to a number of colleagues and they shared some really good ones, and Brad and I pared them down today. I think we finally have a small enough number of questions that they'll get through them in the amount of time that they have. That took us a little while because we were really excited to hear a lot of different things. We have 4 very strong candidates. I think it'll be a hard decision for everybody there. Obviously, we've spent a lot of time just getting ready to work on, we're gonna start the process of some handbook revisions, trying to combine our, this came up early in the year. We talked about handbooks a little bit at the board table, and there was a desire to have a unified handbook. So we're looking at a student handbook that will include a chunk that is all of the buildings together. So here's our unified attendance policy, here's fees policies, things like that, and then an insert for each separate building, so that anything that's unique to that building, like parking at the high school, could be in that insert. So I'm pretty excited about that. Lisa and I have talked about starting some work on business procedures manual, updating our business procedures manual too, just getting all that up to date. And we get to do some board policy again soon. It's gonna be awesome. So I'm living the dream life, working on policy and enjoying it. So I can't wait to share that fun with you in the near future. I'm sorry, I was really boring there.
It's okay. Any questions, Mark?
Have we pretty much got all of our positions filled, teaching positions filled?
Yeah, we have a Strat 2 position at Lakeview. We have, I think we're doing interviews this week for an additional first grade. And then, yeah, I think that takes care of us. So hopefully nobody else decides to do anything different between now and the end of the year, and then we'll be in good shape. And kind of feels good when you talk to people around the state. A lot of people are really hurting for people still. So knock on wood, so far that's not us.
Well, I think you got out in front there.
Yeah, we really worked too. The principals did a really good job doing interviews quick and getting people in, so.
And I think that's the value of that $1,500 that you're seeing.
Yeah, that was a good thing.
Yeah. And we got some great people too. I'm stoked about the new people that we've got added to our team. And when we start to work with, I should have maybe mentioned this, when we start to work with Goodman and Thomas, we'd like to send out something about some of the new people we got coming in and what they bring to the table for us. If I could go back to that real quick in my report. Danielle Hainfield sent me some red line comments like she does with contracts sometimes to send to Goodman and Thomas. They revised it. I'm gonna send it back to her to just double check that everything kind of met what she was looking for, because there's a few different wordings, and I just wanna make sure she's comfortable before we give it to Kevin.
So the assistant principal AD job,
Yeah.
will that AD have to cover the whole thing, the whole?
Yeah, so we've talked a little bit about potentially building in a stipend position for somebody to help support on concession stands or on junior high athletics. Before proposing anything to the board on that, I prefer to get our person hired and find out what area give them a chance to kind of think about what area would be more useful. I know Rich and I had a long conversation about that, because we want to make sure that they can, since they're our assistant principal, we want them to get to be our assistant principal during the day.
Sure.
And I know Rich spends a lot of time going and popping popcorn during the school day, so finding some way to help avoid that for that person. If somebody asked me which direction we'd go, I'd probably lean towards the concessions person personally, because I think that pulls the most off the AD's plate. The junior high scheduling is something that they're already talking to the AD in those districts anyway, so it's pretty smooth for them. But we'll work with the new person and make sure that they feel comfortable with what we can add for them. And that won't be a huge stipend by any means, just something to give somebody a little bit to help support.
So, I guess maybe I already knew that, but our athletic director is in charge of all the concessions.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't
he's a
realize.
busy guy.
Let me give you a little parenting perspective background. So when we had kids in sports, and we were going to sports games, especially things like soccer, that's not a high gate count, number of people in there. I'd always go down there, and Rich was in there early, and he's trying to get the field set up, he's getting all the markers set up, and he's running over there, and he's throwing some popcorn in. There's a lot of times I went in there and say, Rich, can I pop popcorn for you? Just because he is spread so thin to do that, because if you're gonna get a parent to come for a game at that time of the day, because you get a ton of people that will help at football, but for some of these sports that don't have as many people coming to it, there's fewer parents, and usually you're getting parents to run their concessions. And so they show up about the time the game, when they can get off work, especially for like an afternoon thing. You know, if the soccer game starts at 4:30 or something like that, some parents have a hard time getting off work and getting there. So, yeah, he starts that concession stand until he can snag somebody, can you run concessions for me?
This is another reason why the pitch does the Rich Parker Appreciation Day, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of little details behind the scenes that you never really see unless you go down there, and that's one of them.
We, when I was in Alaska, it was basically a student corporation. It was a real corporation, and I helped mentor that. And we took over the concessions for the school, and we made a ton of money. A ton of money. And I think something like that could happen if you had, I don't know, it'd be like a business class or something like that. My niece did that in Oregon, same thing. She basically taught a class one period a day, and then the students ran all the concessions all the time. It was quite a learning experience for students, and when I did it, and when she did it. So if you want to explore some of that, I can offer some advice.
But I think you could also look at some retired people to come in and do that. Somebody who did it as a parent and now has too much free time, rather than taking the parents are the ones that have to do that.
But you're right, it'll wear you out.
Yeah, and I think it's.
And the athletic director really shouldn't have to do that, I think.
No, if you're looking at an assistant principal / AD, you want them doing professional things, not popcorn.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. Concessions is a skill, but it's not a professional skill.
Did the people before Rich do that too? Like, I don't
I
remember.
couldn't tell you.
I think they did
Roger
some.
Campbell doing any of that kind of stuff.
But I know like basketball games used to be student council.
They
Right.
still,
Right.
they still are.
They still are, okay. And so one thing that we could do too, that a lot of districts do is like, I don't know, maybe the band parents do this activity and there's sign-ups for different organizations and they can get a cut of the profit for their
Right,
organization.
and that's what the junior parents, I think, do football every year to raise money for prom.
The problem with that is a little bit of maybe inconsistency in the facility and the way things are run. There's a lot of tricks in concessions, okay? There's a lot of ways to make money, and candy bars ain't it. Okay? So, whatever.
Well, and that might be where this person, as kind of a supervisor of the concession stand, could help those groups. I mean, they're gonna need volunteers to run it anyway, so they could be there to kind of support that.
I honestly, when we did it, we paid the kids, and we still make money.
It's pretty awesome.
We made a ton.
Yeah, because I know in past, I know soccer parents ran, I had a couple of soccer games. Tino took kids up there
Yeah.
and did some basketball games, and then whatever money they made at those concessions went into the soccer activity fund.
Sure.
So I think there's a little bit of that going back and forth to help out some of the different sports activities.
Yeah, lots of options there.
But yeah, I think this is something that we can,
Yeah.
We need to explore it a little bit more.
yeah, get a new AD on board and sit down with Rich and let them.
Yeah, I was
come
gonna
up
say,
with
we'll have
a
the new AD sit down with the experienced AD and kind of work through.
Nice
what
thing
we
is,
got.
Rich will still be in the district for another year so, okay. All right, I think that finish up superintendent report. Time for board takeaways. This is gonna be tough to do board takeaways on a procedural meeting. Who wants to start?
I'll start.
All right.
So, when we were talking through some of the thing there, the levy rates, I've been hearing a lot about, just on the radio and whatever, everybody's property taxes came back, what, 25–30%
Yeah.
higher on the assessed values? To hear that some of the rates actually, if those go up, the rates should come down.
It should.
So
That's-
we would look really bad if we kept them up
Yes,
as that went up.
yes.
So for me to see that there was a decrease that we didn't necessarily expect, which this one isn't even going to begin yet, it'll be next year. But I think that's something we want to look at, because if, yeah, you're taxing a higher price
Well-
to get to where we're at.
Yeah, if you go back, a meeting a month ago, we talked about that was gonna happen and be able to explain that, but yeah, the total, if your assessment went up by 25%, that doesn't mean your taxes are going up by
Right.
25%. Because the levy rates are going down.
But so that's interesting. See, 2 years ago, I've just been complaining about that. But see, I'm understanding more from being on the board
Yeah.
and then seeing that that's going on. So that's my takeaway.
I may have taken a picture of my tax assessment and sent it to Lisa and Mark and said, who do I complain about my taxes going up?
We uncomfortably sent a laughing emoji, I think.
All right, Bob, we'll have you just go around the table.
Okay, I'm not gonna go with what we did today here. I've just been
Okay.
thinking a little bit that when I was first on the board, we had no projects going. We couldn't afford to do any kind of projects. And at this point in time, it's kind of exciting to see that we still never had enough money to do them, but we did them anyway, I guess. And there's something kind of good about that it happened. Especially if you live in the neighborhood of the high school.
My takeaway is not necessarily from this meeting, but two things. One, I'm excited to see what our new public relations firm does for us. Haven't seen anything yet.
We haven't signed a contract with them yet, so.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm really very happy with Bi-State. They've been a good contractor in the last projects, and I think they're a good contractor on this project. And like Bob said, we have a ton of things going on,
Yeah.
and it's good to have somebody that you can kind of trust.
And they, their project manager actually was living in Homestead. He has moved into a place at Excellent, which is close now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I would echo Bob's thing, we're moving awful fast. But I think we're on sure footing with that. We're getting good financial advice, and I'm real happy with that.
And I think better public support also. That wrestling room, we're never gonna recover from that anxiety that created.
Well, we should recover now. If people aren't recovering from that anxiety, that's their own problem, because it's been done for 6 years now, so.
It'll match the rest of the facility.
Right.
So,
And, you know, that is a long-term, that is a 10-year planning project to put it where it is for the day we're in now, there, so catch the
Yeah,
video.
but it was not a poor plan, but it was.
It was a long plan.
For public relations
Yeah.
is what it really turned out to be.
Yep,
I think they're gonna like it when they see the final thing.
yep. And if they don't, yeah, you
Yeah,
just,
well, you know, we can't
whatever.
keep them all happy.
They're all looking at me.
Well, I could do Mike and Mike. Let's skip you.
So I've had a lot of the public comment to me how excited and how happy they are with our superintendent. And I think that echoes through the room right here. And that's, you know, we got exactly what we wanted, what we were looking for when we got one. Stuff like the student handbook, you know, you hear about these things and you think somewhere down the road, a year or two, you're gonna hear about it again. Well, you've jumped right on and started doing the things that you said you're gonna do, so I appreciate that.
Mine's a little different, so something that I think we should look into doing is, there's should be an article coming out in the paper soon. I think Mark was involved, I was involved, about school safety. I'd like to, at some point, have a discussion as a board with the building principals, Aaron, Mike, to update the board on what all is in place in our district for safety and security, without divulging the information that we can't divulge.
That be a for a closed session?
Yeah.
I think that you're allowed to do some closed session for student safety items.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's one of the things.
Okay, yeah. All right, as far as mine, I'm kind of looking, this, it's great to hear those comments, because those are all things that I've been feeling. So I'm glad that the rest of you guys are feeling that way too. I guess that what I'm gonna say is this, between now and probably the next work session, we're gonna do a little bit of planning work on, we've already had one little discussion on the, what do you call it, the retreat. But when we start ready to plan the retreat, we're gonna get a lot of people involved so that when we go out there, there's kind of, everybody's had a little piece to kind of get ready for it, so that when we go out there. But I'm really happy that, that the group that says, yeah, let's have a retreat. It's the fact that, quite frankly, this time last year, I was, every meeting was saying, oh, by the way, the ISAB convention's November 17th, hint, hint, and I was doing that at every meeting, and everybody went, and now coming back, everybody wants to do the retreat. So I would say that one of the things I'm very, very thankful for is that this group has stood up and kind of put that time and effort in to go to those things and go to the retreat. And I think it's the commitment of the board and the support of Mark and the support of Lisa and all the building administrators that we are in the right direction. And so I just want to, I guess, thank the board members for everything that you guys do. And you're kind of on board for all the board leadership that needs to happen over time. So we're going to start probably as we get closer doing some planning. We're looking at doing it at Honey Creek. Now that the Hendersons have the contract and stuff for that, I did talk to them. They're very thankful to have their first booking because they're taking a big swing and a big risk on taking that thing over. And so we'll probably have it out at Honey Creek, because part of the deal on a work session or an off-site meeting, I should say, in a retreat, is you have to be close enough because it's still an open public meeting. And that's still close enough that people want to come out. I mean, look at how many people come to our meetings here. I mean, but you just don't want to have it like, in what I was told by IASB. We could have it in Des Moines, but anything further than that would probably get a little bit questionable. And so I think the fact that we have a place like Honey Creek, we'll just have a room out there for the day, and we'll do it off-site, and they'll provide meals and stuff for us.
I would appreciate a date.
Yep, we're gonna.
We have that date?
Nope, that's what we're gonna work on soon.
Okay.
So if you got any exclusion dates, let us know.
I don't know about you, my summer's filling up fast.
Okay.
And I certainly don't want to miss. But
Okay.
I can-
Do you have any dates that we can't do?
Well, I'm gone July 16th.
For when?
July 16th to about the 21st, somewhere in there.
Okay. By the end of the week, everybody tell me what dates you can't do it, and we'll work around that. You gave some, send them again.
The end of May and to the first part of June, I cannot.
Okay.
So like for 2 weeks, right there.
First 2 weeks up through June to June 15th. Okay. Okay, all right. So if anybody has anything else, just let us know, so.
We're talking about a day now, is that correct?
Yeah, a day.
Okay. Well, I would appreciate you giving me,
Yep.
because
Okay.
I'll work around it, but I
Okay.
just gotta know what it
Okay.
is. And it'd be easy to work around it.
Yeah, we'll work on it this week, so we'll pick a date this week, so. So just let us know by Friday if there's any other dates that you don't, otherwise I've got July 16th to 21 is out, and 1st to the 15th of June is out. Okay. All right. I have nothing else for board takeaways, so.
Let's do one more thing. That Indian Hills Appreciation Night.
Oh, yeah.
The newer people have never had a chance to go. That's a good evening. good event, good food. It's for you and your spouse, and I think you gotta decide right now if you're gonna go or not, right?
It's, yeah, because I have to submit it tomorrow. You can tell me tomorrow morning if that doesn't work, but. Yeah.
I went last year, it's exactly what Bob says, it's a good time, it's good food, good conversation.
It is April 25th at 6 o'clock. Well, 6 o'clock is a social and 6:30 is the dinner. And Indian Hills and then come on. Yeah, Tuesday.
Is it 6 o'clock that starts?
The social hours, real open 6:30.
You got it down there?
Yep, I got you. So I've registered Kevin, Mikey Joyce, Bob, me so far. Or is there else you want? Okay.
I'll let you know tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that sounds good. I can get it in there.
Okay, thank you. Having said that, we'll go on to item number 10. This will be closed session. We'll need a roll call vote to move into this, but closed session pursuant to Iowa Code Section 21-51I to evaluate the professional competency of an individual whose appointment, hiring, performance, or discharge is being considered when necessary to prevent needless and irreparable injury to that individual's reputation, and that individual requests a closed session, and this is for the purpose of Parks and evaluation. Roll call, please. Oh, we need a motion, second, sorry. Thank you. Motion second, we're going to close session now. Roll call, please.
Moore.
Yes.
Mike Thomas.
Yes.
Bob Thomas.
Yes.
Shonda.
Yes.
Berger.
Yes.
Yes. We are now in closed session. We'll give it a few minutes for our non-closed session. Yeah, go ahead and shut that down.